All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Patrice Alcaviadou.
May it please the court, I move that Patrice Alcaviadou be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Patrice Alcaviadou be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kathleen Suzanne Marie Ard.
May it please the court, I move that Kathleen Suzanne Marie Ard be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Kathleen Suzanne Marie Ard be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kyle Noel Afman.
May it please the court, I move that Kyle Noel Afman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Kyle Noel Afman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Maria Artemenko.
May it please the court, I move that Maria Artemenko be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maria Artemenko be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Natalie Ashbrook.
May it please the court, I move that Natalie Ashbrook be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Natalie Ashbrook be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Arusha Ashraf.
May it please the court, I move that Arusha Ashraf be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Arusha Ashraf be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lauren Melissa Becker.
May it please the court, I move that Lauren Melissa Becker be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Laura Melissa Becker be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sangeeta Bana.
May it please the court, I move that Sangeeta Bana be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sangeeta Bana be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Simone Ashley Cacapado.
May it please the court, I move that Simone Ashley Cacapado be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Simone Ashley Cacapado be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shamila Ebadi.
May it please the court, I move that Shamila Ebadi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shamila Abadi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Louise Everson Rose.
May it please the court, I move that Sarah Louise Everson Rose be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sarah Louise Everson Rose be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Carolyn Pilar Fernandez.
May it please the court, I move that Carolyn Pilar Fernandez be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Carolyn Pilar Fernandez be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas Michael Giho.
May it please the court, I move that Thomas Michael Giho be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas Michael Giho be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ferris Hamdan.
May it please the court, I move that Ferris Hamdan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ferris Hamdan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Claudia Lindsay Hollings.
May it please the court, I move that Claudia Lindsay Hollings be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Claudia Lindsay Hollings be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Julia Laura Hollis.
May it please the court, I move that Julia Laura Hollis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Julia Laura Hollis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jeanan Issa.
May it please the court, I move that Jeanan Issa be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jeanan Issa be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jared Michael Kadar.
May it please the court, I move that Jared Michael Kadar be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jared Michael Kadar be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mark Robert Knight.
May it please the court, I move that Mark Robert Knight be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mark Robert Knight be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Daniel Frederick Larrett.
May it please the court, I move that Daniel Frederick Larrett be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Daniel Frederick Larrett be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lei Lin.
May it please the court, I move that Lei Lin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lei Lin be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Chang Liu.
May it please the court, I move that Chang Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Chang Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jacqueline Paola Martinez.
May it please the court, I move that Jacqueline Paola Martinez be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jacqueline Paola Martinez be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Dominic Peter David Meredith.
May it please the court, I move that Dominic Peter David Meredith be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Dominic Peter David Meredith be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lucas Kurosh Mitalekna.
May it please the court, I move that Lucas Korosh Mitalekna be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lucas Korosh Mitalekna be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Joshua Eden O'Rourke.
May it please the court, I move that Joshua Edon O'Rourke be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Joshua Eden O'Rourke be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ho Pong Po.
May it please the court, I move that Ho Pong Po be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Ho Pong Po be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amal Prasha.
May it please the court, I move that Amal Prasha be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amal Prasha be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jai Robinson Stone.
May it please the court, I move that Jai Robinson Stone be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jai Robinson Stone be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elijah Epia Royal.
May it please the court, I move that Elijah Apaya Royal be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Elijah Apaya Royal be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mirna Sawakid.
May it please the court, I move that Mirna Sawakid be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mima Sawakid be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ruby Ann Schmelzer.
May it please the court, I move that Ruby Ann Schmelzer be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ruby Ann Schmelzer be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jackson Walter Skirker.
May it please the court, I move that Jackson Walter Skirker be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jackson Walter Skirker be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Miranda Catherine Smith.
May it please the court, I move that Miranda Catherine Smith be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Miranda Catherine Smith be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Johnny Soros.
May it please the court, I move that Johnny Soros be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Johnny Soros be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Karen Lay Tran.
May it please the court, I move that Karen Lay Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Karen Lay Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Devni Yasara Walpala.
May it please the court, I move that Devni Yasara Walpola be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Devni Yasara Walpola be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Michelle Jarly Wang.
May it please the court, I move that Michelle Jarly Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Michelle Jarly Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christine Xanthos.
May it please the court, I move that Christine Xanthos be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Christine Xanthos be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sue Ann Yap.
May it please the court, I move that Sue Ann Yap be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sue Ann Yap be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Zinshu Yang Zhang.
May it please the court, I move that Xingshu Zhang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shinshu Zhang be admitted as a lawyer of this court. Thank you, Registrar. Now that the formal moving of lawyers has ended, I would like to warmly welcome you to this virtual admission ceremony at the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today to my right is Justice Hume, who is a judge of the Common Law Division, and to my left, Justice Black, who is a judge of the Equity Division of the Court. Together we constitute the court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather for this celebration, physically dispersed, I would like to begin by recognising the various traditional lands on which we meet. This ceremony is streamed from the Banco Court, which is located on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I acknowledge these traditional custodians and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all the new lawyers watching today, welcome to the legal profession. This admission ceremony may be a little bit different to what you were expecting, but these are challenging times when you are unable to be admitted in person. However, your admission, conducted remotely, reflects the agility and adaptability which you will need to possess as lawyers in a time of great change. This is, however, a time for celebration. You have all worked extremely hard to get to this point through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbook, and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. You've entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious and ubiquitous reasonable person, and have understood the Constitution consists of so much more than just the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admission oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830, the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, that's how long it feels like you've been studying. And for many of you, the support of your family and friends has no doubt been invaluable. They have also probably been from time to time on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made before this ceremony is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It is an acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers and our somewhat strange choice of fashion. On a lighter note, on one occasion some years ago, a young member of the audience asked if we were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. Regrettably, we were not. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You'll be unsurprised to hear that over the past 18 months, we've had to adapt quite a bit, as you can see, for example, today. COVID-19 has meant a rapid shift to increase use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure that access to justice continues in the midst of a pandemic. Things don't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can undoubtedly attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally, a lawyer might even get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we are facing, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural and remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions, or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you're at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far and that much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and, for example, amongst barristers in speaking roles in the High Court. It is heartening to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we will only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who have been around for as long as me. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say there are, of course, only a few lawyer jokes. The rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice and other ethical duties you must uphold. Now that you're lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly, with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." This is foundational to upholding the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the sole object of ensuring that absolutely no one can understand it. Your task is not just to try to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I sprinkle in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? I would suggest the answer to those questions is a resounding no. The best advocates make their point simply and succinctly. Now, some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could use that reminder from time to time, but don't model yourselves on them and pick up their bad habits. I also want to speak about failure. I would not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists watching this live stream today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. Now, I myself have made many mistakes over the years, far too many to remember, although sometimes my fellow judges are happy to remind me of them. And even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasions been successfully appealed to the High Court. When that happens, I simply remind myself through gritted teeth that it's not merely a fiction that the High Court is infallible. But occasionally, dissenting judges sometimes become the law. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. Now, this may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I found that throughout my career. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. but throughout my 35 years in practice, I could always count on the other barristers in my chambers to share my disappointment at the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. Now, I hasten to add I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly those sitting with me today, can I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The Court will now adjourn.